Hi, Greg Perry, the historic preservationist. Welcome. We're just going to look at five clocks, and this is kind of rare, five local clocks to come in. Okay? And this is the first one, and this is local to Salem County. The only known listed clockmaker, it's B. Greening in Sharptown. And anybody hears anything about Sharptown, they know that Cowtown, USA, one of the only rodeos on the East Coast, is here, or one of the oldest rather on the East Coast. And Sharptown is not even a town. Seriously, it's a whistle stop. It's a red light. But we have a very nice dial. We have some conical shells in the spandrels with a little bit of use of gold leaf. But remember, this clock is coming in probably around 1800, 1810. Has a very Federalist country type styling. Broken arch pediment, some brass finials. We have the patriotism with the eagle on the top. It's really suffered from varnish that's really darkened. And we have cherry underneath, under this dark varnish. And we have accents of tiger maple. And I can see the tiger stripe going up and down the colonnettes. Okay? The dial is in excellent shape. The name, all the numerals are good. Everything's looking good. We have, and when I say it's a country case here, country federal style case, we have quarter columns, but they're not fluted. We have the colonnettes on the top, and they're not fluted. We didn't even go as far as to put colonnettes or quarter columns on the bottom of the base unit. So I have a little bit of an issue with a crack, which is going to have to be addressed at the bottom. We have a crack here also, but these are fresh. They've been in a collection for many generations, almost going back 200 years. So continuing on with our array of local clocks, which again I mentioned is very rare, a private collection was, and we have again federal styling. All these clocks have the semblance of a French foot, maybe not fully developed. So this has a French foot, but the great thing about this, it's a mahogany case, and it's a clock from Cape May. And clocks from Cape May, New Jersey are very rare. The only other clock I know from Cape May was actually auctioned off, about a year ago, and at a local auction house over in, I believe, Delaware County, Pennsylvania. So we have an Edward Hudson from Cape May. Edward Hudson is a listed clockmaker. He was working in the Woodbury, Haddonfield area for the most part of his life. Somebody from Cape May probably went to him and said, "Would you put Cape May on the dial clock?" But so this is the second one that we've come across, and none of his writings tell us how many he possibly could have made. Edward Hudson, Cape May. We have typical fans in the spandrels. The dial is in excellent shape, and needs a little bit of hand work. We have some bent hands. The globes are beautiful, nice moon dial. Needs to be cleaned. The whole dial needs to be cleaned up just a tad bit. But a beautiful mahogany case. Look, it has some issues. It's been in a local collection for about 200 years. We have some cracking veneers, loosening veneers here, a split across the base, some dust, but a lot of string inlay in holly. And as the last clock we looked at had the quarter columns, this has quarter columns, but they are fluted. There we go. So we have a little bit more upscale clock, probably because it's mahogany. It's not quite the country clock. He was a maker in Woodbury or a maker up in the Haddonfield area, so they were a little more citified at that point. Broken arch pediment, again, more holly inlay, seemingly all original finials, inlaid rosettes. Really nice example of a early 1800s clock. Okay, so let's move over here. And I'm sure again everyone is out there that are horologically inclined has seen a lot of William Morris. William Morris is one of the big names in Bridgeton, or back in the day it was called Bridgetown, or Cohansey, kind of in the beginning, and then they put a bridge up over the Cohansey, and it became Bridgetown and then Bridgeton. So we have a federal clock here, again, heading down to some French feet, or French feet are going to flare out a little more. This is a country clock with French feet. In the base here, we have a wonderful piece of crotch burl in the oval here. Whole clocks in mahogany. A lot of nice federal upgrades, 1820, something like that. Again, dial, very good shape. Spandrels, we have some gilding with fruit, different semblances of fruit, possibly somewhat signifying the four seasons. And we have a bird on a branch at the top. Missing a seconds hand, that'll be put back on. We'll find the period one to match the other hands. And we do have some finials. They're in the base of the clock now, and we will get them at a later point. But we have these inset of holly. We have pinwheel rosettes of holly, a nice broken arch case, and in a way these are all quite similar, even though the cases, some are not as inlaid as others. But the broken arch of all five of these appears somewhat similar because it's the same time frame. It's southern New Jersey, it's Salem County, it's Cumberland County, maybe some vestiges on the last one of Cape May, vestiges of Gloucester County. So, and all of these have original glass. So I'm seeing the wave of the glass, and that's important to some people. So let's move on to our next specimen here. So we have here again is a mahogany case, beautiful crotch flowing down the center door, down the base panel. And as we talked before, now this particular maker chose not to put quarter columns. They're putting chamfered edges and chamfered edges on the bottom, okay? So not quite as upscale as the others. And if we're looking side by side, a comparison, this is less radical than the one on the Bridgeton clock. And this is in Mannington. This is a fellow named Zadok Street. It's the only clock ever found, and I've explored the NAWCC in Columbia, Pennsylvania, their archives, and there's no listing for Zadok Street other than this clock. Zadok Street is a listed maker. He was a builder in Newark, New Jersey for many years. He had a father that had a farm down in Mannington. Grandfather. The grandfather dies. Zadok closes shop. He's going to be a farmer. He comes down here. He builds only, in a diary, what we saw, only about 10 clocks. He was involved in local politics at that point in Salem, New Jersey, and he chose to head west. And I believe Zadok Street eventually went all the way out to Washington State, and there was a whole series of pioneers at that point in the early 19th century, and they started naming different towns and hamlets, or setting them up, naming Salem. I don't know how many times Salem has been used across the country, maybe 20. And Zadok Street is one of those individuals who laid that out. So Newark, New Jersey to Mannington here, became a farmer, and then he was an explorer and ended up in the upper West Coast. The dial's a little bit not quite as good as the other dials we had, but again, it's been in the collection for a couple hundred years, missing our seconds hand. But the dial's in good shape. I mean, it's showing a nice patina, and I wouldn't do much to that dial. Lovely spandrels in the quadrants, moon wheel. And who knows, we have a ship here coming up the Delaware Bay, probably. But, so again, losing a lot of the luster of the last ones with the case, but it's a nice tighter case, and it's a smaller, and the crotch is doing the talking. So a polish up with some French polish and some shellac, and I think it's really going to shine. So, and a wonderfully flaming carved finial in the middle, and there's no plinths on either side. So typically so instead of having the inlay on the top, we have a flaming finial, and we have carved rosettes. And remember, not every maker of every case or every clock movement or every dial maintained that same ambiance, such as these federalized cases with inlay and veneer. A lot of them may have had a predilection to continue doing stuff from 20, 30 years ago. Hence you're seeing the carved flame, the carved rosettes. So let's move on to our last clock. A little more common than Zadok Street, a bacon or beacon as you want to call it, but it's a bacon ware is how they pronounce it. And the glass here is quite dirty. And nice patina, nice bird, and you can see how dirty the glass is. Nice raised gilt gesso here, and I love the corner, so it feels really good. This case is really tight. It's really tight-waisted here, The panel, again, we have some vertical cracks. On some of the others, we had horizontal cracks. We have a nice little checkered inlay, oval, but like back on this guy here, we put a big crotch in it, a big piece of crotch. Here we didn't. We just put the circle inlay, and there's one of the shopkeepers going by, Jack. And again, we had an oval. We did something different here with this inlay going in. So it's just upscaling it a little bit. We have the quarter columns in the midsection, but none on the bottom. And they're fluted here. So a little bit uppity here at the top as the broken arch pediment goes up. You see it was cracked here. Sometimes these clocks did tumble. The weights, the catgut would break, the weights would fall, break the bottom, clock would fall over and break the top off. And so there's a lot of restoration work that has to be done up there. I'm not sure about the finials. I don't think they're correct. And we'll check out the finials. It should have a matching set of 3. Bacon ware typically has a matching set of 3 brass finials. We know that from about 5 examples that have come through my hands for restoration. So anyway, to sum up, just a great local private collection, and one like I've never seen, or any of the locals that are still alive have never seen in one place before. Greg Perry, the historic preservationist, signing out. Thanks everyone for viewing.